tomorrow. And then if there's anything that stands out, hopefully we get that cleared up, and definitely by the end of next week, everything should be to the auditors.
Mr. Chairman, I have some comments and some questions regarding that, which we're going to wait till any of the business.
Concerning this, no, it's
Yes,
fine.
okay.
Do it now.
So I guess I'll start with some comments, and those that have been on the board for a while, and I've spoken about this in the past. Early on, we had Marcia Marion come in and do the presentation, and that was probably one of the best presentations we've had as a result of an audit, because not only did it really give us a kind of a drill down on the state of Griswold in terms of finance, but she was able to spend quite a bit of time with the board and educate us as to our role and our authority. And, you know, a couple of things that really stick with me was how much time she spent really trying to make sure that we understood how significant a role that we actually play as a board of finance with the current governmental structure that we have, where we have a board of selectmen. And you know, I'm going to have to only summarize at this point because I don't remember exactly how she said it and what exact words she said, but basically, she says, number one, you need to realize that you have a fiduciary responsibility to the townspeople regarding all finances that occurs in the town of Griswold. And at the end of the day, you are responsible with the charge of ensuring that all the finances of the town of Griswold are true and correct and proper. And I believe that she was very good at being able to throw in kind of a catchphrase at the end and kind of really prove her point. And she said, basically, the buck stops with you. Now that I do recall that she said. So as I sit here and I read this, the big question I have is, if the audit was supposed to be done in December and we are the financial authority for the town of Griswold, how is it that we didn't find out that there was a problem with the audit until June? Maybe it's me, and I'll stand out on an island when I say that to me is very, very alarming and distressing, and I've kind of got a problem with that. I would have expected differently. I would have expected perhaps come January saying, look, our audit was due and should have been completed in December, but we're working through some issues. Instead, we don't find out that there's a problem until basically it goes to OPM and OPM gets involved. That's a huge problem when, according to what she says, kind of that whole fiscal responsibility lies with us. Now, I guess I really am looking for some answers. What exactly happened that created this situation where we couldn't finalize the audit, and why has it taken so long?
I thought I had run, sorry, Scott, go ahead.
So I guess my first question is, I know that there were a lot of issues on the Board of Ed side. Were there issues on the town government side? I guess that would be my first question. Were there issues on the town government side that also delayed the audit being completed?
No, the town government was done a
Okay,
long time.
so what specifically, I guess, were the issues that delayed it as long as it has, as it's gotten?
What happens is when they give me, the Board of Ed gives me a monthly report that has all their payroll, all their accounts payable, any adjustments, journal entries they make. I put that into my system. And then I use those numbers to come up with end of the year figures. But the reports I was getting didn't have all the adjustments on there. So my numbers that I had in my system didn't agree to the numbers that they had in their system. A lot of the problem was there was the business manager change June 30th, and then the accounts payable person who does the end of month reports changed in maybe October. So I was trying to get information from the new people, but they weren't really sure what the old employees had done. So there was a lot of investigating to be done. And finally, I just took it upon myself to go through every Board of Ed entry, one by one by one by one, compare it to the end of month report and made changes myself. So I could come down and reconcile, because the end of month report should agree to what they have in their system. It didn't, for whatever reason. So I took it upon myself, I'm gonna go through every transaction, because we need to get this done. But the spreadsheet with all the transactions, it's an Excel spreadsheet, had 36,000 lines that I have to go through one by one, make sure this agrees with this, so it's been a process.
Sure.
So why it was like that, I don't know, but we're trying to clear that up. And I thought I mentioned a while ago about the audit being on extension, and
It was in June.
No,
I don't recall it any time.
If you did, I don't recall it until.
well, it's on me then, I take
I have to
responsibility.
look at my minutes, but I thought it was in March or April, there was discussion. But I'd have to look at my minutes.
Are we comfortable between the Board of Ed that we've identified where the problems were, that something like this is not going to occur again in the future?
I hope so.
I mean, not having a crystal ball and all things being what it is.
We did ask the Board of Education that exact question when this came up. And they assured us that it was being taken care of. Am I correct on that?
That's correct. I think Eric summed it up best. I mean, and I thought there was a letter. I think Eric summed it up best. There was a letter, I haven't seen the letter to OPM, but I know we've been working very collaboratively with the town. We are committed to not having this happen again, but the personnel changes in that particular department, our department is 3 people. It's Deb and 2 other people, and 2/3 of the department within 6 months changed. And I believe that created some delays.
That was in 2022.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. And I think also from King and King, correct me if I'm wrong, Deb Franklin is a new auditor assigned to us from that particular firm. I don't know if that had some kind of impact. Nonetheless, Scott is right. We are committed to working through this. And I do believe we are at a point where the reconciliation process is stronger between both departments. And I know that there's plans underway to get last year's audit moving along in addition to the 22 audit.
I think my question was at the time was, what did you do in order for it not to happen, the backup plan that caused it in the first place?
So it seems to me, I'm going to defer to Deb at this point, in terms of some of the processes that we put in place to avoid this from happening.
So if I can just clarify that I did come on board July of 22. However, those monthly reconciliations were from July of 21 through June of 22, prior to me coming on board. These were all transactions that occurred before myself or the current financial assistant came on board. Those reconciliations on a monthly basis, they were sent down the spreadsheet. However, there wasn't communication back and forth at that time with the finance director and the business manager on a monthly basis. That's where Eric and I have come together to talk on how we're going to rectify this, so that we come together either monthly or bi-monthly at this point. And we worked with Dana and Sean as well. The 4 of us collaboratively come together to figure out how to make sure that this does not happen again. Now, that's something that we normally would do anyway, but having to go back and reconcile month over month for 2 years ago has taken its toll on all of us. We've had to set aside our current daily functions to make sure that we can get you the information you need. As Eric did on his side, we did that prior on our side, going through all of the detail of each month and making sure that the spreadsheet was up to date. There were some journal entries and such that were created during that time. We didn't take the trial balance, which is what we sent over to Eric so he could do that. But what we did was take all of the transactions that were filed on a monthly basis and did it with that. Now, unfortunately, there were things that were not printed on a monthly basis or when they were processed, so those things did not get added to the Board of Ed spreadsheet to send over. What I've done, in addition to not only getting together with the town, I have also taken on a monthly basis to assure that the spreadsheet, when I run a month-end report, the detail for us from the system is what that spreadsheet, if I'm supposed to have $3,240,000, I have $3,240,000, and if I don't, I reconcile before it comes down to.
You said that once this is reconciled, you'll be meeting bi-monthly. Is that going to happen going forward now?
Exactly, right. We met just Thursday last week, and prior to that, we met on Monday for the things that we need to, we're trying to move along, and Eric and I have a great working relationship, and I see that this will move forward in a different way.
Well, yeah, that's why I was trying, you're reconciling this now, but after it's reconciled, this is gonna be set in stone that this is gonna happen bi-monthly with Eric.
Will be more than bi-monthly, I'm sure.
Right, on a monthly basis is ideal, but bi-monthly, if there are some differences, we'll capture those and we'll be working through those more efficiently than it was done in the past. Now, that's true, but we're going to meet more often, we're a phone call away. However, during this time when we're spending that much time reconciling prior time, we are getting together currently on a bi-weekly or weekly basis to make sure that those things are taken care of.
And certainly, Board of Finance appreciates everybody's effort to bring this to balancing and closure. But I have a couple of concerns and observations. Number one, this isn't the first rodeo for any of the folks in either the board, the first selectman, the Board of Finance, the Board of Ed. And sometime in the November, December, January timeframe, somebody must have known at the Board of Ed that we have a problem. And nothing was said to us. Now, maybe you said it amongst yourselves, but we have this fiduciary duty that Scott's talking about, and there should be that kind of reporting cycle that goes through to say we have a problem. Number two, I'm appreciative that Eric has spent so much time going through 36 or 37,000 items, but that's really something that should have been on the Board of Ed's watch, not on his. And if the Board of Ed needed a part-time auditor, part-time accountant, somebody part-time to come in and fix it because of this unusual firestorm that you had, that should have been brought up so that we're not talking about it 9 months later. It just seems to me that everybody sort of figured, well, eventually we'll fix it. And we've been down that road before with Board of Ed issues. And I thought we had gotten to a different place when we got notice that there was a problem brewing, and not to hear about it 6 or 8 or 9 months later. And I'm concerned that the pattern of behavior hasn't changed. So my question is, what can we do to set up a procedure so that if there are any glitches or problems in the future, everybody gets notice in a timely fashion rather than after OPM is noticed?
May I respond?
Sure.
This was not something that would have been just recognized in November of last year. If the Board of Ed is sending something down to the town, this was 2 years ago. That this should have been, if they weren't getting what they needed, there should have been more correspondence at that point. So I understand what you're saying, and that's what we have already worked through, that we will. That was something I came in, this was the year before I came on board. So if there wasn't something getting done prior to me coming on, I understand that. But I do want you to know that I have worked with Marcia Marion before, and I do uphold the same standard in my own work and my reconciliation. So that is something that Eric and I have worked through. We have, I mean, I would respect and ask that we've been given the opportunity to show that we can get this done. He and I, if there's something that he's not getting from me, then I would certainly own that. But at this point, I'm looking for the opportunity to work with him and the town and for you to make sure that it is done accurately and efficiently.
Go ahead, yeah.
Sorry, Val.
So just to clarify, so was this report due June of last year or December of last year?
December of 22.
22. So who was in charge in December of 22 financially for the Board of Ed? Was that the new person or the old person?
It was Deb was in
Deb,
place.
okay. So it does fall on you if it was due on your time, even though you were not doing the report then. Secondly, is the report that's due December 31st of this year going to be done on time?
It better be.
Deb, is it gonna be done on time for December 31st? So we'll have it to the auditors in a timely fashion this year.
My goal is to, yeah, definitely.
Is there a reason why it wouldn't be?
I don't see a reason.
So I would just add to Gail's point, I'm glad to hear that, you know, you seem to both be working well together now, but I was gonna say the same thing. I think we need a procedure in place so that if the day comes when none of us are here and you two are no longer in the positions you're in, that this doesn't happen again. I don't know what that procedure needs to be or how it needs to be stated, but whoever's gonna fill your shoes down the road probably needs to have this written procedure in place on how to reconcile monthly, and keep the Board of Finance aware and the same as part of that procedure, if there are any issues with not reconciling.
This would fall on the Board of Education for a policy of their own, to make sure that doesn't happen again as well.
So, you know, not knowing all the ins and outs, when Eric mentioned that there were certain items that didn't balance, when you send everything to Eric, do you determine whether it balances or not, or you send an unbalanced batch of data to him?
Everything is reconciled. When I came on board, I changed the way that the payroll was reconciled so that when it is sent down, it's been double checked and the numbers all reconciled. So that we know payroll is done appropriately. When there's an AP run, we're sending new information down as well. So it looks different today than it did just a year ago.
So to follow up on Dan's comment, have you verified that every month from, you know, that you've done so far for this next report for the fiscal year ending June 2023, that every month was balanced and reconciled before you send it to Eric?
Eric and I have not gotten together to go through what may or may not be balanced on each of them.
Because you're working on the prior year at this point.
We are working concurrently on both.
And I think that's what the board's concern is,
Right.
is that you're playing catch up with very capable people, but those folks only have so many hours in a day. And we need to make sure that this cycle doesn't keep happening.
What we send down to Eric reconciles to Infinite Visions, which is our processing system. And when we, on a monthly basis, put that into a report, if Eric is missing something, that's where, if it's not on there, or if it's what he has posted on this end, that's the reconciliation that takes place. So if there's something that was sent down and not posted, or if there's something they didn't get, he had it posted and they don't. I think there may be a disconnect on what that reconciliation looks like. Everything that comes over to Eric or to the town has been reconciled. We know that matches our system. Now it's the spreadsheet that at the end of the month, on a monthly basis, that if there's something not posted on the spreadsheet, and which is what happened that year, they weren't getting posted to the spreadsheet and it wasn't there, but we didn't know that until after. When the auditors were here in December, I provided the system information to the auditor. But what wasn't done was the reconciliation to our system on the town side. So our auditor hasn't requested anything additional from the Board of Ed. Eric and I have worked through what the differences are, what they have posted here and what we have posted to our system.
Just a couple questions and I apologize. I don't want anybody to feel like they're on the hot seat. That's not
No.
my intention. I just want to know, how did we get here? So how do we fix it so we don't end up here again? But just a couple of questions. First, I want to thank you for your clarification on a lot of this. You've kind of filled in a lot of blanks for me, same with you, Eric, on, you know, the daunting task of, you know, looking at that makes more sense on how we got so deep into this year. You mentioned 2021, it goes back to 2021. Is that something that should have been picked up in the audit for 2021?
No,
It's
it's
not.
because the fiscal year was July 21 through
Okay,
June
all right,
22.
okay.
Should have been on a monthly basis.
That's what I was
Very
gonna
much
ask.
so.
Should have been quoted on a monthly basis.
Right.
But
should
when
have
I
applied
get
on a monthly
the,
basis,
when I get the
right.
spreadsheet, I match up all the checks and all the payroll and all the credits that they have that come in, money received. But I have no idea. I assume that's right, but when they don't have journal entries on theirs, maybe moving some money from general fund to special ed or vice versa, I have no idea if those numbers are correct. I have to assume they are, but when we got to the end of the year, I was like, yeah, our numbers, these numbers that you gave me on the end of month report are nowhere near what you have in your system. So
Okay.
that's where it's like, okay, what's missing?
So it's a system disconnect, their system versus your system. The communication and being able to correlate is a disconnect there.
Yeah,
I only have two more questions, I promise. The first one is, can any of this, you guys did a new rollout of new software? Can you go to like Infinite Campus or
Visuals.
something? Okay,
Infinite Visions.
Infinite Vision, okay. Can any of this be attributed to the switch over from one program to the other, or no, not in this situation? Okay. Are we at our lowest level with OPM, our involvement, or their involvement with us, I guess? Is this really at the kind of the lowest level with OPM?
yeah, it hasn't been escalator.
Okay,
He's been happy with.
and they're, I was gonna say they're pleased or okay with how things are going.
Yeah.
Okay,
And if we can get everything to the auditors by the end of next week, I think we'll be in good shape.
okay.
So as of right now, no, there are no glaring red flags. You think you'll be done by the end of next week?
I plan on, yeah. Yeah, I'm almost done going through the fund, other funds, so shouldn't be much of an issue.
Can a late filing like this, can that affect any things like bond rating
It
and
could.
everything? It could.
Okay, that's why we have to make sure for this next audit, we're done by December.
Okay.
Because if it's a one-off thing, it's not gonna hurt, like if it's repeated, and that's the same thing OPM looks at. Is this a recurring thing that happens, and as long as we get the next one filed quick, then we'll be in good shape.
So back, I'm sorry, I'm gonna ask one more question too. So back to Gail's point, this year that we're in right now for the monthly reconciliation, is there anything we can do to make sure? And I know that you said you're working on them simultaneously, but how do we make sure that we're teed up and ready for this year?
I mean, I'll make sure to update you on my monthly report, where we're at. I can tell you right now, we're behind. I'm still waiting for a lot of the month-end reports, but I can update you every month as part of my monthly report, how we're doing. And that's on me. I'll take responsibility on better communication. and
We're all a team here. Eric.
I'll try
And
to
we're pointing
make
fingers.
sure.
We're trying to identify where
Yeah,
the
yeah.
problems are, where the
Yeah.
gremlins are hiding, so that we can fix things for next time.
Do we need to, I say we, need to consider the funding of additional support staff
Yeah, I
for
guess
on
that's
a
what I was-
temporary basis to get everything up to speed to where we need to be between both sides?
I mean, on our side, I think we're good. I don't know if they could use additional help. It's possible.
You'd rather do it yourself and make sure that it's right.
Well, at this point for last year,
What about for this next
for
year?
this next year, I mean, as far as the town goes, we're okay. We just need to get all of the monthly reports.
I guess
So you
just
said the
in terms of
monthly
catch up.
report-
Doesn't
monthly
make
report
sense.
is behind
Both it, yeah, what are we
the
talking?
board?
What's that?
The monthly report is behind from the board for
Yes.
this year,
Yes.
so
From,
they're behind because why?
She's been dedicating the time to getting last year's done.
So
She's getting,
Okay, so we're behind right now on the board side. Is there any way to catch that up?
we are working, yeah, we're working to get that caught up as well.
I lied, one more. I lied. So, question for either Deb or Sean. I'll use the term we, I said we're team.
We're team.
Should we be looking in terms of trying to bring somebody in on a temporary basis until everything is up to speed for this year so that we can ensure that come December, we're where we need to be and the audit is completed on time and successful?
I have two responses, may I?
Absolutely.
One, we've added this as an agenda item to the Board of Ed, that has updated the board, and we kept the board. And maybe the Board of Finance does the same as a standing agenda item on the audit, just to see where we are and where we have to go. I would like the opportunity to revisit this topic a month from now, only because in fairness to Deb and her department, she has to do this massive report right now called the ED-001. That's due September 1st. It's due every year by the state of Connecticut. So they are working on multiple things at once, and if we can perhaps revisit this topic at the next meeting, I appreciate that thinking. As an agenda item, we can give you an update, and if we have to raise the red flag that we need help, we're gonna raise the red flag and say we need help.
Fair.
And I like this one thing. On a monthly basis, when the reports, if they weren't received, was it communicated back to the prior staff that something wasn't getting done that was expected to be done? That, because it was, if at June, we're looking at 12 months of monthly reports and finding out that, it's just, that's why I'm saying we're meeting on a monthly basis, we want to do that monthly, so that if I give you August by September 30th, we know that August is down, it's been reconciled, so I don't know, that's the part that we added this time that we've talked about where we are and where we need to be. So we understand that when I'm giving you August, September, we're talking about August, what's missing, what's the difference, and how can we get there? So it's not coming June or July or August or September to find out that 15 months ago, we didn't balance in July, because that is truly where we were when I started. And we started going through the audit from December, it's like, well, July, you have this and we have this, and these are our differences, okay? But this was, 18 months ago. So this is what we've been going back and forth with. And again, not to say that it's this one or that one. I am merely reporting on something that was done or not done. And Eric is doing the same thing. And on both sides, we had staff changes. So I do believe that we're both stronger than we were and in a better place to move forward and be accurate and efficient. And we're going to get there. And I agree with Mr. McKenna that we move forward and try to get to where we need to be in the next month. But I appreciate the extra time to get the BFS and the ED-01 process and completed by on time.
And I think that boils down to the procedure, right? And I think it probably boils down to the point where you need to maybe put in writing that you need to I don't know how long it takes you to do the month close, but by the 7th day of the following month, the close should be done, if that's the time period. And then on the 8th day, it's the monthly reconciliation. And
Whenever.
I think if that's written down, then future people will know that this is what we do, that we can't be going back 15 months.
Exactly. And what we're doing now is when the accounts payable person is processing a check run, it's posted to the spreadsheet right away. When their payroll is processing, she posts the payroll transaction, the journal entry, same thing. So it's being done on it. And when I see the report and I report it down there, I make sure it's on that spreadsheet now. So we have taken, I take this seriously, and I appreciate the opportunity to show you that we can get this done. But Eric and I will get together much more often.
Last question. You said we're a few months behind with the Board of Education. Is there a possibility that in those months, there could be things that are incorrect?
It's, it's not that they're incorrect, that our system shows a number and that Eric may have something different. So it's not, when I print something from any division, that's exactly what was posted. That's what the process, and that's what's on the spreadsheet. It's more of what got down here to be posted, if he's missing a piece of paper that, so we have something on our spreadsheet that he doesn't have posted on the town side, or he has something on the town side, maybe a journal entry or something, or he received something in the bank account that we did not go back and post, because some things get automatically or direct deposited. So those come from the town to us. So we may have some discrepancies, and yes, we'll work through those, but it's not nearly going to be over there at that.
Anything else? Okay. Item 5, new business, finance director's monthly report. Eric?
All right, I gave you a financial report for FY 22-23 as well as current year 23-24. Last year, we're still wrapping up. Revenues recorded to date are $38,491,659.39. 99.8% of budget revenues. We're currently around $75,000 away from collecting 100%. We were anticipating using 600,000 from fund balance, but the other revenues came in around 525,000 over budget, so we are in good shape. They're not final, but they should be very close. As far as expenditures, we're recorded so far $38,703,955.42. It shows as 100.35% unbudgeted, but again, I haven't got all the month-end reports from the Board of Ed, so there are adjustments that I need to make, because they're currently showing well over budget, but from what they say, they are not over budget, so I'm missing some adjustments that I have to make on my end. As far as the town goes, I think we're gonna be around $230,000 less than budgeted. We're still finalizing the numbers, but we should be right around there. Biggest drivers of the savings, snow removal was a pretty good savings because we had a mild winter. Legal fees were down and we had some positions that have remained open that we didn't fill right away. So that created a savings in wages and benefits. We also didn't have a lot of unanticipated expenditures last year. It was a pretty good year. So overall, instead of using 600,000 from fund balance, it looks like we should be able to return about 150,000 in total. Again, these figures are subject to change. We're finalizing the numbers, but they all should be pretty close. As far as line items over budget, they are all included in the proposed transfers with explanations for each line item. As far as the current year we're in, revenues recorded to date, $12,807,783.76, 31.68% of budget revenues. No concerns so far for revenues, still early. Expenditures, we recorded so far $2,297,280.68. That is 5.28% of budget expenditures. No major concerns. We did have one issue with some major boiler work in the town hall. So the one item that is over budget at this point is building repairs by $900. But we're seeing savings in other areas, so there's no concerns at this point. Anyone has any questions, I will be happy to try and answer that.
Any questions for Eric?
Looks like we're gonna be very close to our 100%.
Yeah,
Have we ever been over 100%?
for revenue,
Eric, quick question. I know that you say, you know, you still gotta make some adjustments, but the 100.35% and the recorded to date, I mean, what's the dollar figure that we're over? What did we budget for expenses? How much are we over?
we are over currently by. About 136,000, 136,492.42. But the Board of Ed's currently being shown over by 369,000. But again, that's because I'm missing some of the adjustments, so.
Okay,
I want to make sure I understand the paragraph on expenditures.
Yeah.
You say instead of using the 600,000.
Yeah.
You're going to be able to return 150,
Yeah.
so is that a 750 swing?
Yes.
any other questions for Eric? All right, hearing none. 5B, discussion of possible action on fiscal year 23 budget transfers.
Included the transfers, with explanations. I did give you an updated one that's highlighted. There are a couple minor adjustments I saw this morning. So I replaced page 2 and page 5 in your packet with the updated ones. But I put that one aside to show you what the changes were. Because the change was on the second page, but then it affected the bottom line on the last page by, I think, $5. If anyone has any questions on these, I'd be happy to answer. It looks like we used an additional 50,000 out of the exchanges account. So we still had about 50-something thousand left that we did not use out of the exchange account. And we had put extra in to cover increases in wages and benefits because the union contract hadn't been finalized. But overall, we didn't use anywhere near what we had set aside.
So Eric, just for record keeping purposes, what's the final total then for the transfers?
The transfers out of the exchange account?
No, you have a total of 142,671.73.
Yeah,
That is it, right?
That is the correct number. That is the correct number
Yes.
after accounting for
Yes.
those other mods. Okay.
So the highlighted copy was just to show us that the changes that were made and put into this.
correct,
Okay.
correct. But of that 141,000, a majority of it, or 142,000, a majority of it was within the department transfers. The only additional out of the exchange account was around 50,000. So in total, I think we used about 100, close to 100,000 or around 100,000 of the 140 that we budgeted, I believe.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion. Make a motion that we approve the fiscal year 23 budget transfers as presented.
Second.
All right, motion been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Right, all opposed? Motion carries. Item 6A, old business update and discussion on bonding projects. Who would like to go first? Dana? Eric? Either one, whoever can give us some great information.
So we're going out to bid for the water and sewer. September 6th throughout, I think it's 10 o'clock in the morning, 11 o'clock in the morning, we'll be in here for any of the potential bidders to come and speak with the engineers. Bids are due October 2nd. So, anything like that?
Nice.
And on September 12th, the CIF awards their grants, so we're hoping we get good news there, and then we're all set for when the bids come through.
Next week, toward the end of the week, we'll more than likely do a public forum or probably via Zoom, just to inform people that are interested about what we're doing with the water and sewer project and where we're going with some of that development on the 164. So that'll be advertised next week.
If we don't get notice on the 12th that we've received, then that's closed door, it's done deal.
Then we would apply for the next round in March, but at least hopefully we get it. We'll see what happens, but
Is that the only one that?
if we don't get it, we'll have to look at what the bids came in at and go from there.
And again, they're doing alternative bids, so the bids will come in with maybe stages of building and alternates of we'll do this part, but not this. part. So we're set for that.
And if the CIF doesn't come in, then we can talk to rural development again on grant money for the water part, because that's something originally we were gonna do. But we're hoping to get the CIF because it'll be 100% grant, whereas the rural development's a portion grant. So that's it for water and sewer.
Senior Center.
For the senior center, I put in your packet separately the what Rob had emailed this morning, so you should all have that.
So it looks like we're looking for some additional funding of $20,295.68 to be exact. You want to walk us through this?
Yeah, real quick. First off, I don't expect anybody to act on anything tonight. I put that together this morning. So I screwed the chairs up. I used the old number on the chair and that was wrong. So I'm gonna redo that for next month's meeting, but I wanted to get something in front of you now. So you can start considering for next month and potential action. The door closers on the restrooms are just stop closers. The number I put in there is a delayed closer. It's better than what we got, but it's not ideal. The ideal one's about 15 grand for the foreclosures. So there's a big price difference. What we're asking for is the Chevy, what we've got is the Yugo. And of course, an electronic door closer would be ideal for people that are not fast getting through a door. So those are going to be the two changes. Depending on which way you think I should go with the closure.
That wasn't in the original instruction.
No, what's the electronic word? I can't remember.
The auto door? Is that what you're talking about?
Power assist?
Power assist. It's a power assist closure. That was not considered in the original.
And I don't know why, but I can tell you that the difference between the delayed opening and the power assist is significant. And
About $15,000.
yeah, cost wise, it is significant, but the power assist is really, it's what we had in the old center. And it's when you pull the door, it just automatically keeps opening and it allows for a walker and or a wheelchair to go through at a comfortable pace. The delayed opening is you pull it open, but then it doesn't stay open as long as it should.
But both are better than what we've got right now.
Exactly.
So are these things that you're looking for that now that you've moved in and had some time to use the facility, you're like, aha, we really need to make this upgrade? Is that why we
Yes.
have these now? Okay.
So again, in the next week, I'll have final numbers, the updated data sheet on the chairs. Get that to Eric, it'll be in your packet next month. I'll give you two prices, one with power assist, one without. And then you can make a decision, but I want to get something in front of you tonight. Did not expect you asking for any action.
It says, it looks like it's 4 closures, right? What doors? Obviously, the entry door,
All restaurants.
restroom.
All these line items weren't in any of the original construction plan. The shelving was, and we're not real sure how that got,
Well, the shelving was in USDA.
yeah, we're not sure how that got shuffled around and not
And the
included.
USDA, did we get that
We haven't
money?
filed it yet because the generator's in USDA and that's October. I'm waiting for Todd to give me an answer confirming that's still October, November.
But we got that money.
We haven't filed for it yet, Eric.
Not yet.
Yeah, once the generator's in October,
Okay.
November. you'll put
But it was
in.
approved. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
I sent the original packet and then everything got approved. But then we're waiting for the generator for the final
Okay.
submission.
So the money is already been earmarked for us for that.
Yeah.
All right, so can you talked about the doors. Can you talk about the enclosures? How did we get there? How did we get to the bollards?
The bollards are in front of the staff side of the building.
Okay.
There were none ever considered for there, and they almost had a car go through it early on. At the opening in the center, so putting up 3 bollards just protects the staff.
Yeah, there was a car up on the curb in front of Lisa's window that I caught and I thought it would be a good idea.
We've talked about bollards a lot this
A
year.
lot. The other bollards were on capital though, which is where I was gonna ask now, what's the capital requirement, 10 grand?
Yeah,
So would it make sense that the HVAC silencers go on capital request?
I think it would make more sense to take it out of the funding that we received and then close out the project and return the funding to the general fund.
And
So some of this is in your covered already.
From that 1.2 million, that's your.
Yeah, right now, the final numbers, if we get everything from USDA, the 411,000, if there's no hiccups there, I think we're looking at returning as right now around the 760,000 that was additionally appropriated. So if we took out 20, then it'd be 740 that would be returned to general fund.
and is that 740 in addition to the 750 that you were talking
Yeah,
about in
yeah.
your, so that's 1.5 million.
But we did take, when we, 850,000
Right, right.
this year.
The chairs, I used an old number on the count. It was 40, it's supposed to be 100, but the chairs that I included were just a generic fold up. Did not consider that they probably need to be a little heavier duty. With the type of person we're talking about, seniors and things like that. So we're gonna look at a different chair, more like these versus the hold up something that's sturdy.
Can I just say something about the chairs that we
And the
currently have?
chair, sure.
These were the chairs that we took from the old center. We've had them for many years. The bottoms of the chairs, the protection, they're gone. So what we've been doing is ordering from Amazon rubber caps to put on. They're not holding up. We don't have enough chairs, first of all, but they're not holding up. And when they wear out, it means inspecting the chairs because the floors are going to get scratched and they are getting scratched. So we really need to update to something a little more appropriate. And I did go with a higher weight system, so.
So if you're going with 100 chairs like these stackable ones, would you be getting,
Or along this line versus the fold.
would you be getting a cart to move them around once they're stacked as part of that? Or-
Yeah, we really, they're not going to be stacked. We could look at carts, that's something that we could take care of, but these are to split up between the cafe and the main room. And they're going to remain permanently in place.
Versus now, we're bouncing around.
Yeah.
So the first 2 items on there, that's the enunciator for the front of the building. The silencer system is all down the basement. So when the fire department shows up, they gotta come to the whole building to get down there to be able to silence that and figure out what's going on.
This moves it as a remote access to the front of the building so they can come in the door and it's right. Is that required? That's just say more of a safety issue. Yeah, it's a safety issue. Not a fireman.
Yeah.
Why it would be the basement? I don't know, but. I don't have any more formal presentation.
How many hours this works, or the old senior center?
And I'm sorry, I don't
How
know.
many powers is stored were there?
At the old?
Yeah.
2. Ladies room, men's room.
I'm just wondering if those could be transferred over to the new senior center, do the new power assist doors and the old senior center anymore. Being converted over to the previous by this alternative school.
Can I be honest? I prefer not to because they're all in a row. And just for the sake of aesthetic, and we really don't know size wise. I mean,
Is this something that we can vote on tonight or?
Well, I don't
No,
think
you don't have the right
You're
price
not
yet.
ready. You said you weren't ready
I
yet.
want to get the chair number right,
Okay.
then you can do options.
All set? Anything else?
Thank you.
thank you.
All right. Item 7, any other business, and the new agenda item that was added at the beginning of the meeting to discuss possible special meeting dates to fill the vacancy that was created when Alex resigned. And this vacancy will only be until the next election, which will be this November. So, I'll start because I just want to explain a little bit about how this whole thing transpired. As we know, Alex told us since last meeting was his last meeting. I believe he sent an email on July 21st. It was my impression that the letter had to be signed, wet marked with a signature. But the town clerk reached out to Eric to find out if there was one, when was our 30 days up? Was it the date that it was emailed to the town, or is it when it was signed? Because those are two different dates. I believe it was emailed on July 21st. Alex left town to go on vacation, came back. I want to say it was around August 1st, and that's where I was under the impression that it was signed and then the 30-day clock would tick. That is not the case. Stamped in on the 21st of July. 30 days started then, therefore 30 days is up this Sunday. That's why I asked Eric to send once I got all that information, I asked Eric to send the email out to the Board of Finance members last Tuesday, which he did last Tuesday morning. Very important to me that we have all of 6 members present for that. Did not hear back from everyone till after the close of business for the town on Friday evening. In my opinion, I don't think that was enough time to let the RTC, the DTC, the first selectman, and any other interested candidates know that we were going to have a special meeting on Tuesday to show up and show their interest for consideration for that vacancy. That brings us to tonight. So we, in my opinion, since we're trying to do this by state statute, we probably should try and have a special meeting before Sunday, if it's at all possible. That probably means tomorrow or Thursday. And again, I don't know if that's sufficient time to let everyone know. Or we roll the dice and try to have a special meeting next week beyond the 30-day mark to try and fill the vacancy. We also heard that there was maybe something, a state statute that said if it's within 90 days of an election, that the Board of Finance didn't have to fill the vacancy. I couldn't find it. I asked Eric to look. Neither of us could find any such thing in writing in state statutes that says, regardless of how close you are to an election, that you don't have to, the Board of Finance shouldn't try to fill the seat, or the Board of Selectmen fill within 30 days if we don't. So I'm all ears. If anyone has ideas, suggestions, I think we should try and fill it, even though it's probably only going to be for 2 meetings.
I think it's our obligation, and you said it, Dan, it's our fiduciary duty, we gotta make a diligent effort, and there was a confusion, obviously, on when the clock started ticking, but if we do nothing, we forfeit our obligations to a point, and I think we have to make a diligent effort. I've studied the statutes about these types of appointments, pretty much into the weeds over the years, and I've never seen that 90-day.
No, it was just
Comment.
something I had heard, so I decided I better look
Yeah,
into it.
I've never
and
seen it, and I've
could
never
not
heard
prove
it, and we've had legal opinions from town attorneys, and that's never been mentioned, so.
No.
It could be someone's understanding, incorrect, but I think that as a board, we have a fiduciary duty to make a diligent effort, and as far as the notice to the board of, to the DTC and RTC, they've already gone through a lot of work to, get, responses from interested members of the community, in preparation for the November elections. And I believe that, they have lists of people who are interested, and I don't think it would take a whole lot of time for them to get that information to us. I'm available Thursday night. I'd like to make a motion Thursday, special meeting Thursday at 7, if everybody can be available.
Can we make sure we have a meeting room?
Excuse me?
Okay, I'd like to make sure we have a meeting room if we're gonna make a motion.
I'll find one.
Yeah,
I know we could always meet upstairs because Capitol's not meeting on Thursday.
right.
I'll second the motion.
But can we inquire whether all members can make it for Thursday?
I know I can.
I can,
I can.
Okay,
yes. All right,
so let's
good.
do it. It may be a 3-3 tie, but we still have to
We
go
did our
through the
job.
motions and do our job. That's what we're
Agreed.
elected to do.
Agreed. So we have a motion and a second for a special meeting of the Board of Finance to be held on Thursday, the 17th at 7 PM at a meeting location somewhere in the town hall.
Probably gonna be.
Probably upstairs, upstairs meeting room.
Do we have to state the meeting location in the motion? So, at a to be posted location at the town hall.
There is a meeting down here at 7:30, so you probably would have to be upstairs.
I don't anticipate it taking more than, 30 minutes.
So, did I make that motion?
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
this you did.
And you include the latter part that she just said.
Yeah.
I second it.
There you go.
All right, so motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor? Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Any other business?
I have a question. Over there, the construction site, is that like not moving anymore?
They are working on something in Winston and they're coming back about mid-September.
It's pretty silent there.
Yeah, that's why.
Okay.
Nothing else?
Well, I do have,
Yeah.
just something real quick. You got a quick update on the field?
Sure, the community multipurpose field, we had a punch list walkthrough about a week and a half ago. There's a few items that have to be addressed by field trip. The scoreboard is anticipated to be installed this week. The grounding is there for the scoreboard to install. We are hoping to have a soft opening for teams to practice and do what they need to do after signs are posted about what is allowed and what's next couple of weeks. September 8th, mark your calendars, is the grand opening at the first football game. So you will have your community multipurpose field to enjoy. A special thanks to an assortment of people, including field turf, who power washed all the bleachers and moved the bleachers on the visiting side to the home side, and they're situated. We also have indication that the Booster Club is going to do some cosmetic upgrades to the concession stand, and the youth football team league is working with our facilities group to spruce up the announcers booth.
Fantastic. When do we need to meet to work on the bond? Would that be September's meeting? Do you want to just?
Once the audit's done,
Okay,
then I'm gonna start the process.
Okay.
But I talked to the financial advisor, he said we can't get a rating from Standard and Poor's until the audit's done. They won't give us one, so. Been waiting for that.
Is the field open to the public at all yet or no? Not yet?
Yeah, in a couple weeks.
All right. Anything else? Public forum, anyone wish to speak? All right, you've all said enough. All right, item 9.
Motion to adjourn.
second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thanks, everyone. Good night.
Can you let us know by email? The audit hasn't been sent in by the 25th next week.
Yeah.
Just let us know that.
Yeah, I will update you.
Okay.
Definitely.
The audit's not.